Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome back to Balanced, where we weekly talk about the importance of balancing our bodies, minds, spirits, and community. I'm John, and today our guest is Jody Jester. Welcome to Balanced. Well, welcome, viewers, to our final episode of our Family Balance series. This has been a really excellent series, and our guests have done a great job in helping us think about our body and mind and spirit and our families. And so today, for our final episode, had the idea of sharing with you a organization in our community who does tremendous work in helping families find balance and in particular niches of families in need in our community. So offered the opportunity to someone from the organization to show up, and thankfully their director of programs said, I'll do that. So we have Jody Jester with us today from Bridge of Life, who's going to share with us. Welcome, Jody, to our conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, it's highly possible that probably a good number of our viewers already are familiar with Bridge of Life, but it's probably a good portion that may not be as familiar. So we want to give a bulk of our time today to inform them about Bridge of Life, what you do, and the impact you have in the community. So let's just start there. Help us know sort of like the history of the nonprofit and what's been going on from beginning till now.
Yeah, so pretty cool story. Our founders, Danny and Anne Marie Jones, they attend Bayside Church here in our community. And many years ago, they became foster parents. And as they sort of navigated taking children into their home, they would, of course, have those children at church with them. And they noticed that a lot of people in the community and in their church were asking questions about who are these children? Oh, there's foster care in our area. Wait, there's a need for that. And so just through their own personal experience, excuse me, they realized that there was just a lack of awareness in general in our community about what the foster care system looks like, what their real needs are. And so they took that as an opportunity just to really bring awareness and to educate. And what that looked like in those early days was them just opening up their own home and inviting people in and saying, hey, if you want to know more, come and learn. And so they developed this small group, and they would have different people come in, a case manager maybe one week, a guardian ad litem, another foster adoptive family, really just with the idea that we need to educate our community. Of course, out of that, when you start to hear about needs, people start to respond to those needs. And so there were people who started the foster care licensing process from that group, families who entered into the adoption world. And so, as a small group tends to do when they've gone through some of those life transitions together, they started to wrap around and really support each other. So, hey, so and so just got a new placement last night. Let's take a meal. Maybe we can offer childcare. Let's put a set of bunk beds together. And so it's from kind of that early small group that a lot of Bridge Life programs developed. And so we're still very much about awareness. We want people to know what the local need is. You can't say yes to something that you don't know about. But we also really recognize that not everybody is in a position to open up their home personally, but they would be willing to be a community of wraparound support for those families. So what that looks like is taking a meal, painting a bedroom, offering childcare, those kinds of really impactful. It might be something small for a volunteer, but it could be something really significant for that family that can help them, navigate another day as they are caring for a child who's experienced some pretty significant trauma.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's a really cool story about, it started with this one couple and now it's blossomed. And you talk about awareness of need. The first time I heard foster care numbers for our area was several years ago, and it blew my mind. I had no idea. So I noticed on your website, the latest stat posted there said like 1,143 children were in need in Sarasota, Manatee, and DeSoto counties. That was like a 2017 stat. So I'm just curious what you could tell us about that current need. What does that look like?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. We're just around 1,100, just under right now. I've been with Bridge Life for about 6 years, And we've seen that number toggle anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 kids. We recently had our big annual awareness event, which you were at, a superhero 5K, 10K.
Yeah,
So I know
awesome.
that number kind of off the top of my head, because one of the ways that we raise awareness for that particular event is to individually chalk the name of every single child in our foster care system at that time at the start finish line. So it's a pretty impactful visual display of how many kids really are in our system, and just a way for us to kind of honor them and say, hey, we see you, we know your name, and we're going to be champions to help make sure that you're taken care of.
Yeah. Which, okay, I'm just going to have to say this. So when I ran this morning, it just so happens, and I didn't even think about it till you were to say that, I had my T-shirt on from the race. So funny.
Yeah,
I,
it's
I would
great.
have worn it, but it was a little sweaty. You wouldn't
Well,
want
and you even, you placed that day, so you did really well.
that. Yeah, it's great, great event, and that's even that is a good illustration of what community looks like and can look like. Because as you mentioned, not everybody can, or they're in the position to take a child in or take siblings in, for whatever reason. But there's certainly opportunities to provide care. So if you can dig into a little bit more of the types of services, trainings, education things that Bridge of Life does and how anybody could be involved in it.
Right. So, we talked about, I mean, meals, and that looks different now because of COVID. Before COVID, we had, one church and one night a month, and volunteers could come and they could put together meals. And then those would be taken to families as they had a need. They received a new placement, they had a kiddo that was sick, whatever the situation was. We've kind of revamped that now where individuals can cook in the comfort of their home. And then they let us know and we can deliver those meals. So that's been a great way to continue meeting that need. We've had a lot of hammer time requests lately, and those are home improvement projects. And that can look anything from, putting together a bunk bed to painting a bedroom to putting down new floors. And actually, all of those we've done in the last month or so. We had the privilege this week even to go into the home of a birth mother, so her children are not yet in the system, but there are some concerns in the home. And, when at all possible, we want to keep kids with their families. That the removal in and of itself, even if we look at a foster family and we say, well, that's a better home, well, it's not better for the child. The best thing for that child is to be with mom and dad if we can make that a safe thing. And so we're really excited to be even able to work in the area of prevention now. And so we heard about a mom, there was a need for beds. And so we were able to put that need out to our community, have a couple of churches and individuals say, we've got bunk beds, we have a trundle, we have sheets and bedding and all those things that we can donate. And then to identify those volunteers that can go in the home, make that project happen. We put new flooring in for a foster family recently. The home was habitable, and she has the heart to care for these kids. She just needed the floors done. And so sometimes it's stuff like that where it's like you've got the person who's willing to say yes, but they may not have the handyman skills or the financial resources or whatever else. And so when we can wrap around and provide that support, it's really meaningful. We've got a church that they contacted us last week, and they're like, hey, we put together 30 meals for you guys. We'll keep them at our church. As families have needs, they can stop by and grab them, or you can deliver them. So it's a pretty amazing thing to see the community say, I have this resource, I have this skill, I have this whatever. And then, pretty certain that we find a family within the next week or so who
Yeah,
expresses a need, and just to be able to connect those is a pretty cool thing. I will put a plug in for Care Portal, which is kind of a new endeavor of Bridge of Life's, and it's basically an online platform that allows case managers and kind of those frontline child welfare workers to be trained to enter vetted tangible needs into an online platform. And then at the same time, we're recruiting churches right now to say, hey, we want to be a Care Portal partner. We want to know about the needs that are in our neighborhood. So that bunk bed needs goes into the system, it goes out to the churches can claim it and respond. And you kind of get those met in real time. And so we're really excited about that and the way that it's going to be able to streamline individuals and churches to be able to meet those needs.
yeah, that's really cool. I don't know if that's a result of COVID, but you see more and more of that happening on websites and just virtual connections. So that's awesome. Love that. How, if someone's interested in that, it sounds like they would just go to your website. So help us know, for any viewers, how do they connect? How do they help their church leaders connect to Bridge of Life?
Yeah, so it's bridgealife.com is our website. There's a section on there that says get involved. And so if you click on that, it will talk about meals and hammer time projects, training, childcare, all of those sort of things. And so people can see kind of what that looks like. They can reach out to us there. We also just added a new header last week that says Care Portal, and the logo is there. And so if you're a church leader or part of a church and you think that that might be a good fit, you can click there, learn about the contact information, and how to get some more information to plug in through Care Portal.
That's awesome. This is a great illustration of the episodes that we've been doing about community balance. And so thank you for what you do. Thank you for what Bridge of Life does in our community, and illustrating and modeling what balance in a community can look like. And certainly you're helping families. That's the core of what you do here. So this is pretty cool to end our family balance series talking about this. And speaking of ending the series, I want to just give you an opportunity to talk about your personal family, because you have a pretty large family, and it's not all you're living it out. Everything you just talked about, you're actually living it out. So there's some key things about keeping balance in your family. So tell us what, for you and your household, what helps you maintain balance the best.
Yeah. So of course that never looks perfect.
Right.
Tend to kind of go a little this way and then a little that way, and we're always kind of correcting. But early on, when our family was adopting, a couple of friends gifted me some books about large family logistics, and those were super helpful. Some key takeaways from those were permission to say no. Like, so you've said yes to something pretty big, and so you may need to say no to some day-to-day things that everybody else, it seems like, they're doing. And that works for anybody, whether you have a lot of kids or adopted kids, or like, I think we want to say yes to a lot of opportunities. And so for us, when our kids were small, and we had 8 children in the house, we said no to like the class birthday parties. Like, that's a lot of birthday parties.
Oh,
um,
whew.
we just, you just can't. The little school fundraisers that come home, and you want to support your school, and I mean, they're good things. But to be empowered to say no to things even that are good, and just to have limits. Our kids, they do one activity at a time. We can't do piano and horseback riding and soccer like per kid. And so it's caused them to go, what's really important to me right now in this season?
Mm,
What do I want to do? And for them to really focus in on that. And then, providing structure as much as we can. I mean, you've got to be flexible, especially with that many people. But we have chore charts, and everybody knows whose night it is to do the kitchen dishes. Like, it's never a surprise. Like, it's posted and it's there. We have kind of a daily schedule that's always written on the whiteboard in the kitchen. My kids from a very early age did their own laundry. Like, there was some responsibility that was put on them, maybe younger than their peers, which I think ultimately has made them more responsible, more thankful. I mean, there have been some positive byproducts of that for sure, but also it's just helped the family system to operate better. And I think they're going to be more prepared as young adults, and stuff like that. And then also just saying yes to others offering to help us.
mm,
We've got an amazing community of support through our church and our friends and our family. And I think we can be resistant as individuals sometimes to let someone bring us a meal, or carpool our kids or whatever. But I've noticed that the more we say yes when other people step in and have a genuine desire to help, it strengthens those relationships too, because then in turn, when I can offer to do something for them, they're more likely to accept my help. And so we've developed some amazing friendships with people that I feel like are just full of transparency, and like, we're really truly doing life together. And I don't think that would have happened if we had been stubborn and said, we're not going to let you help us, in this season of, raising all of these kids. So thankful for them and just the relationships that have developed there.
Again, thank you for modeling this in your own family, in your own church, and for Bridge of Life modeling this to our community. It's organizations like Bridge of Life that help us have a good community, and for those who are struggling to find good balance. So this was awesome. Thank you for saying yes to this today. And viewers, again, if you have any hope of, or something just triggers like, wow, I had no idea that that was going on and I could be a part of that, reach out to Jody and the team there at Bridge of Life and help these families and these children have some balance in their life. And you can be part of that and, model it yourself in your own family. That's what this series has all been about. Jody, thanks again for being with us today. And viewers, we will be back next week with a new series. And again, every Wednesday at noon, you can find us here on Facebook. So you have a good afternoon. We'll see you next week. Thank you.